Jerry Mallory here for SB Nation and Pride of Detroit.com. When Matt Patricia was replaced, I think the expectation was for the defense to automatically get better. I know I thought that myself. Not saying that they would be world beaters, but that was one of the worst defenses, if not the worst defense I've ever seen, including the 0-16 team. The last 2 to 3 years have just been atrocious. I figured maybe they go from 32nd worst defense in the league to, 24, 25, which would be quite a bit of an improvement. But the reality is, after 2 games, the Matt Patricia defense seems to be the Dan Campbell defense so far. 3rd and longs, doesn't matter. The team that we're going against will complete it. We can't get any stops, and we see the opposing team's punter maybe once a game. If we're fortunate twice, it's just not going to get it done. So, expectation was one thing, reality is another. It gave me a little bit of clarity. And this is not an indictment on Dan Campbell. In fact, maybe it's a little bit of Matt Patricia's scheme wasn't as horrible as it was. The talent just was not there. Now, don't get me wrong. I still don't like Matt Patricia's scheme, but maybe I go from an F- to just the F on it, because it's clear that with a new scheme and the defense looks exactly the same, that leads to the reality or the clarity of the situation that it's the lack of talent that is, was, and will continue to be the number one issue on the defensive side of the ball. As long as our linebackers are absolutely abysmal, as long as the safeties are just not impactful, and we don't have a shutdown corner, despite drafting one number 3 overall, we don't even have a above average quality corner. I don't know how we rank Aurier. I probably said that wrong. I always do. The fact remains is this: the biggest issue with the old regime and the current regime is the lack of talent. You can have the master scheme and it does not matter. So, expectations was an improvement. Reality is none. Clarity: Matt Patricia's scheme maybe not as bad as we thought, but the blame still lies on the Quinn Tricia era. Remember, this was a marriage. So that lack of talent had a lot to do with failed draft picks. It had a lot to do with running our best defensive players off of the team. Darius Slay, Quandre Diggs, those guys with Dan Campbell would certainly be an improvement. Even a guy like Damon Harrison, I don't know, he went to Seattle for a second after he left us, and maybe he was just over the hill. But that first 4 or 5 games that he had with us, it really changed our run defense. All of a sudden, he does not want to come back. So it's the talent that's the biggest issue, but that does not put Matt Patricia off the hook, because him and Quinn were responsible for the success or failures by way of that talent. So what's the solution? We have to wait. This defense isn't going to change miraculously. The young guys have to get time for seasoning. We have off seasons. We have draft picks, plenty of draft capital. We have to utilize all of our resources, and that's just it. But one thing I do want to see is the young guys play. Derek Barnes, Levi Onwuzurike. If we're going to lose and if our defense is going to be horrible, play those guys. I'd rather they struggle and get better and learn on the job than Anzalone or Will Harris, who I'm completely over. I know he's young, but I'd rather the newer young guys get time. If they're going to be bad, if the defense is going to be bad, I want the young guys out there. I like hearing that Jamie Collins is potentially on the trade block. That means more time for Derek Barnes. Let the young guys play. Use our draft capital wisely. And in the meantime, maybe you'll have to run more blitzes, less man-to-man. Just get very creative. But so far, the new regime's defense looks like the old, but I think I have a little bit more insight on the major issue. Now, I always knew talent was a problem, but now it's really, really, really clear. What's your thoughts? What was your expectation coming in with the defense specifically? What's your new reality, and what's your solution? Let's hear the comments below. As you know, the Lions are facing the Baltimore Ravens coming up this week. We have some predictions over at Pride Detroit. I'll give you a hint. Not many of us, or maybe any of us, are picking the Detroit Lions to win, and neither am I. But we will cheer them on and see what happens. But until then, I'm out of here. I said but a few too many times there. But anyways, thanks for watching. I'm out of here until next time. As always, this has been Jerry Mallory for SB Nation and Pride of Detroit.com.